Dobry den, hello. This video marks the end of my 16th week in the Czech Republic, so 4 months have now been and gone. I've finished my course at the Czech Academy, I've taken all of my exams and I've submitted all of my coursework, and I'm very glad to say I've passed it all too, so things are looking relatively happy on the academic front. I might have said after my last YouTube video, which I think is weeks 14 and 15, that I was intending for that to be the penultimate instalment in this video blog that I've been making. And I was going to combine the 16th and 17th weeks into one video because it just takes so long to edit and put these clips together. And I was going to stick to this plan until my mind was very swiftly changed by events happening on the 16th of June at Namesti Svobody, which is the central square in the city centre, which hosted the Theatre World Festival's closing ceremony. Now, to explain a bit better, the Theatre World Festival is an arts festival within the Brno festival, which I mentioned in the last video. And basically, all the major arts centres in the city, so we're talking about the Opera House, we're talking about the theatres, they all sort of come together and put on this very elaborate procession, which is later judged, and they put on a couple of performances as well, free for the public to watch. And quite simply, the events were just too good not to share and not to give its own video in its own right. So I thought I'd sort of talk you through some of the photos and videos I've taken, just give you an impression of what it's all about. So the procession itself was called the Night of the Masks, no points for guessing why, and basically it kicked off at Namesti Svobody at about 5:30 in the afternoon, where the public were made to feel welcome just to walk around the city centre, check out some of the stages that were set up by the different arts companies, and listen to some music put on by the local gospel choir. This was followed about an hour later by the actual procession itself, and the procession was split into two parts, and it approached the Namesti Svobody city centre from either side. Both processions met in the middle of the central square before dividing and going to their separate stages and being summoned up to a main stage to be judged by a panel. The costumes ranged from anything from sort of a Mozart-era opera to something you might see in experimental theatre, to something, quite frankly, you might see in a Tim Burton film of sorts. So there were lots of weird and wacky costumes, and it just made it sort of very eye-catching and very interesting to watch and sort of watch how things unfolded. Effectively, the different arts companies were summoned up to a main stage to be judged, as I've mentioned, and eventually a winner was announced. And this is done in between lots of small performances put on by the different stages. There were several public performances put on for onlookers, and this continued until about 10:30 at night, when the ceremony closed with a small fireworks display.